Awesome. So, Happy New Year, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this webinar, Hiring and Supporting Visually Impaired Employees. I'll kick it off and send it over to Marianne Gilmore, who's at the Carroll Center for the Blind. But before I do so, I just want to give a quick shout out to our small business seminar series, Underwriter, Needham Bank, and our series Supporters, CMIT Solutions, In-Source Services, and William James College for helping create programs like this possible. So I'm going to just stop the report, sharing for the screen, and I'm going to just start sharing the other presentation slide. And Marianne, I'd like to pass it over to you just to start off.
Yes, well, thank you, Maxim, and thank you, everybody. It's really exciting that we've got our panelists are some of the best experts in working with people with vision loss, and we're kind of creating a bit of a climate today just to feel all of you feel a little bit more comfortable in connecting people with vision loss and how they might be able to help your workforce. So myself, I'm the workforce development specialist here at Carroll Center for the Blind, and along with me is Brian Switzer, Program Manager of Assistive Technology, Training and Research. We've got Carroll Cullins, Employment Services Supervisor at MCB, and Karen McCormack, Job Developer for Educational Programs, Perkins. So if we go to the next slide. I'll just read a little bit about the Carroll Center, and then I'll have Carroll talk about MCB and Karen for Perkins. Carroll Center empowers those who are blind or visually impaired to achieve independence and to lead fulfilling life. Our services include vision rehabilitation, vocational and transition programs, assistive technology, training, educational support, and recreation opportunities for individuals who are visually impaired of all ages. My kind of where I hang my hat here is employment. So anything from volunteer work, internships, competitive jobs, just kind of giving people that maybe have blind since birth or later on to really get back out there and be part of their communities in the work world. And then we have Brian Switzer. Brian, if you want to just share a little bit of what you do here at the Carroll Center.
Of course. As Marianne mentioned, I'm the program manager of Accessibility Technology Training and Research. And so that role is really heavily focused around technology. We help train people on the use of assistive technology. We work with a wide spectrum of clients from young people who are in high school, getting
We lost you for a little bit, Brian. Let's see. Let me get to Brian.
I think Brian's mic. Brian.
Yeah, you're there. You go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now we can.
Oh, I apologize. I think my internet is a little bit unstable. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. So I'm not sure what you missed. So I'm the program manager of Accessibility Technology Training and Research, and my role is very heavy technology focus. I work with young people all the way to senior clients, and it depends on their individual goals, but we'll work with them on assistive technology around using computers and cell phones, whether their goal to go to work, get ready for college, or just sending a simple email to a family member. We work with a wide spectrum of clients. And with that, I'll hand it off to Carroll from MCB.
Thank you, Brian. Hi, everyone. I am Carroll Cullins. I oversee the Employment Services Unit with the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind. And as you can see in our mission to provide individualized training, education, and empowerment to people who are legally blind and advocate for inclusive policies across the Commonwealth with a goal of lifelong independence and full community participation. In my role as Employment Services, I am sort of at the end of that path as individuals seek employment or even internship to get to to the place of employment, to get to that stage of their life. I work very closely with employers to help them to understand the support and services that we provide, as well as to dispel the many myths about visual impairment, which you're going to hear a lot about today as well. And I work very closely with the job seekers and the interns who are looking to improve their skills and have that perhaps first work experience, to job seekers who are looking for employment as software developers. We've got a nurse working at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center who's legally blind, and you know, anywhere in between, people working, you know, as a dishwasher or stocking shelves, everywhere in between. So my role is very busy and never boring. Thank you. And I'll send it on over to Karen.
Thank you. My name is Karen McCormack, and I'm the job developer for educational programs at Perkins School for the Blind. And we talked a little bit before the meeting about typically best practices for people when they're audience members without vision, that a good practice to get into is giving a visual description of ourselves. So as an example, I might say I'm a middle-aged white woman with very short kind of buzz cut. I've got big loop earrings in and round framed glasses, and I'm wearing a gray sweater with a white colored shirt underneath. And that just gives information to folks. We all look at each other and take in stuff, and it helps people without vision to feel like they have access to that information too. But Perkins is the oldest school for the blind in the United States, and our mission is to help children with disabilities find their place in the world. We serve children and young adults with multiple disabilities, their families, educators, researchers, and professionals around the globe through educational services, accessibility, professional development, and innovation. So Perkins has a pretty large footprint, and we work in the community and, as mentioned, around the world. And my role here is pretty much working with high school age students who are at the very beginning of their path of learning about work and how they fit into the world of work. So they may start with me, and then further down the road, work with Marianne or Carroll. And one of the things I do is look for internships, volunteer opportunities, always thinking of ways that people who are working can talk about their experience in the world of employment, just to share information with youth who are trying to figure out where they fit in. And so now I think the next slide is Marianne.
And following with best practices, I guess I'm still going to go with middle-aged woman with light brown hair, black glasses, a blue shirt. And so I'll start with that. And again, just thank you to everyone on the call. I saw on the list some people I know, some people I don't know. But even people that I do know, I know that you'll learn a little bit more today. And shout out to a number of you who have already had our clients at your job place to help out. And many more, I'm sure, will be interested in that in the future. So we're kind of thinking about, okay, well, what does this mean? How do I learn about who's visually impaired? Because that term is kind of thrown out there. Some person may think, well, I wear glasses. Am I visually impaired? Yes, you have some visual issues that need to be corrected, but when we look at who might be served by the Carroll Center or MCB, there are some, clear definitions. Sometimes people think that it's an all or nothing, like I either have vision or I don't. And sometimes people will kind of close their eyes altogether and say, okay, well, that's blind. And very often it's confusing for people that don't work in this field to really understand. Someone with a cane, they might think, oh, they can't see at all. And then they're surprised to see, okay, they're looking at something up close and they're able to read it. So it's a big variety. So when we're thinking about low vision, there are some terms that, this is a person whose best corrected visual acuity of 20/40 to 21/60 are considered to have low vision. And again, we're around for any of these terms that might be a little confusing or how we best work with people. Sometimes in that category, people may get served if they're going to have a condition that's decreasingly so that they do need more help. Legally blind, we have that as 1/10 of normal vision. Persons with the best corrected visual acuity of 20/200 or worse, or a visual field of 20 degrees or less are considered legally blind. So sometimes you might, if you put straws in front of your eyes, that might be someone's vision where they can see central, but they might not see you on the side. Other people might look at you, but not look straight on because their vision is through the side of their eyes. So that might be confusing a lot of times when we do interviews, we're talking to our students about looking straight ahead. So then blind persons who have no light perception are considered totally blind. And all of these are eligible for MCB services, except for low vision if it doesn't, have a condition where it worsens over time. So this is a little bit of an intro to all of you guys, and we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so you're kind of saying well, what's the value of hiring somebody with vision impairments? What am I getting when I work with someone with these issues? So we all have daily problems that we face, but kind of someone with a vision loss may, for them, they can't just hop in their car and go to work. They have to figure out, well, how am I getting to work? I'm living in a place that really doesn't have Uber, and how do I figure this out? So they're always problem solving. And that's really what an employer wants, is a strong problem solving skills. They're troubleshooting daily, and they're using various products, and there could be environmental challenges that they have. Maybe they're in a work site that they need outside windows, or maybe they can't have light, or all sorts of various things. There's a lot of research showing that it's above average employee loyalty, productivity, and efficiency rates. Sometimes people have to go to tons of interviews before they get a job. They're proven to be better attendance rates, better productivity. So this is obviously something that employers want and need in their company. They have lived experiences, so they've kind of gone through what they're experiencing maybe for many years, and they can provide a lot of insights for industrial design and development teams, as you as an employer are thinking about how can we benefit everyone. Some of the people they really need to be tech savvy because they're using assistive technology, and Brian is going to get into that a little bit later. So a little bit like Carroll was saying, anything from a nurse at Beth Israel to somebody, washing dishes, to somebody that's a teacher. I think, sometimes people, again, close their eyes and say, what could I do? And the answer is anything. And so opening our thinking up to that type of potential jobs for people. The other thing is, we're all trying to be more diverse. We've learned that brings the best practices to our businesses. So, it contributes to culture of inclusion and helps supports organizational diversity, inclusion, and belonging initiatives. So that's definitely a good value for all of you employers. Next slide. So then you're kind of thinking about, well, what do I do to help? What do I do to make someone comfortable? And sometimes it's breaking the ice by just saying, hi, my name is Marianne Gilmore. That's going to really help the person. We do give the people that advice too, because sometimes breaking the ice is hard for an employer. So we may say opposite, to our job seeker, just kind of put your arm out there and say, hi, I'm Marianne Gilmore. I'm so nice to meet with you. But as you guys are getting to know and feel more comfortable with people with vision loss, just put your arm right out there and say, and introduce yourself. It's very easy for us to assume that people need help. And sometimes we all want to jump in, especially our nonprofit people. We all want to jump in and help. That's not always needed. Some people, you know, they've worked on independence, they worked on doing things themselves. And that might just not be their personality. They really want to kind of figure it out themselves. So ask, can I help you? What can I help you with? We have something called human guide or guiding. And that's, you know, you may offer your elbow, your shoulder, you know, I can help you get into the next room if you would like that help. Or, you know, visual and voice cues. So basically saying, hey, we're going to, there's 4 steps. We're going to go down these steps. We're going to take a right, you know, and saying things like over there, over here, that's very confusing. You know, more like 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock type of things help. And then common sense that we all have or try to have is the golden rule. Treat individuals with respect and dignity. And that's kind of, you know, basic practice for everybody. So next slide. Okay. So let's see, I think I'm handing that over.
Yeah.
To Karen.
So some of when you're meeting someone who's blind, blindness is a low incident disability. So it's probably pretty common for folks not to have interacted with someone who's blind. So there's just basic things to do that are going to make someone feel more comfortable and help facilitate the interaction. One of the big ones is identifying yourself when you enter or exit a room. And that can be something that we're constantly going in and out of rooms, and people with vision are constantly taking that information in and maybe even modifying what they say based on who stepped into the room. So it's really important for folks to just say, oh, I'm leaving, Karen. Oh, hi, it's Karen, I'm here. Or even if you're with someone, you can say, oh, so-and-so just entered the room, just to give that information. And the other important thing to do is speak directly to the individual. And in my work with youth, I'm frequently in the role of introducing them to new coworkers or perhaps a new supervisor, and I may serve as a job coach. And I can, I see this quite a bit where folks will tend to direct the information, or even if it's a specific question for the student I'm working with, I literally sometimes have to turn my body to make it easier for folks to focus on the student. So that's just speaking directly to the individual is another way of making that person feel valued and centered, and an important practice. Using regular speaking volume, sometimes folks confuse visual impairment with hearing impairment and will start talking louder. And that's not something that's necessary. If you are with someone who's blind or visually impaired and need to leave, it's good to have that person know where they are in the space. And if there's either I have to run to the restroom, there's a chair right here, you're free to sit in, or I'm giving them information about the space. Standing out in free space can be very disconcerting. And if you're curious about whether someone needs help, the best thing to do is ask. I often hear students tell stories about being approached by folks who think that they need help. And one of the roles that they quickly have to learn is how to navigate that space and how to let someone know that they actually don't need help. So similar to what Marianne was saying earlier. And specific directions, instead of saying over here, or, oh yeah, there's a chair right over there, giving concrete orientation directions. It's to your left, or it's behind you, Or even sometimes you can knock on something to give an audible cue that, oh, the chair is right here, to your left. Keeping doors and cabinets closed, that is really just a safety thing. Somebody could walk right into a door frame if it's left open, right into a door if it's left open. One of the things that I have observed too when working with students is keeping clutter out of hallways, keeping things in the same place so folks know where materials are going to be. And again, these best practices, I was supporting a student at a job at a hospital, and the supervisor said, this is so great because the hallway is better for everyone now. So if it's sort of universally beneficial, some of these practices, not just for folks who are blind or visually impaired. And I'm not going to go over the don'ts. The don'ts are there. We just go over the do's. And again, I think the most important thing is becoming comfortable with making mistakes, and instead of refraining from interacting because you don't want to make a mistake, it's always better to make a connection than to be worried about saying. And the other thing that happens is people suddenly get nervous about saying, oh, did you see that? Or it's so good to see you. And I think all of that is just people trying to be overly cautious, or to Marianne's point, everybody wants to help or worries about hurting someone's feelings. I think just developing a comfort with making mistakes and talking about it with the person if something like that comes up. And now we are on to the next slide.
Karen, do you want me just to go list them all down, or one at a time?
Brian, he is on the guide dog etiquette slide. Do you want them to be just listed, or do you want them?
Yeah, you can just whip them all out if you want to go through and collect them all at once.
Perfect. It's all set.
Well, Matthew is working on that. I'll start. As Marianne mentioned earlier, always talk to, and Karen also mentioned that always talk to the individual rather than the people, or in the case, guide dogs around them. Try and interact with the person themselves. It can be challenging. Guide dogs are very cute and affectionate, and they know how to get attention from other people. So if you want to interact with the guide dog, talk to the handler first. That's always the best practice. Try and keep in mind that the guide dog is working, and their job that will require a lot of focus. If they get distracted, they can easily walk the handler into an object, and that's not very safe. So try and do your best. Keep in mind that the guide dogs are working and that they require a lot of focus to do their job well. If you're someone who'd walking a dog, try and give a little bit of a buffer zone around someone who had their dog working. My guide dog and I going to Suffolk Law School one day, followed another person and their dog for, it was a good, 20 feet before I realized I'm like, something's not adding up. And I realized there was another dog there that my guide dog wanted to go play with. Very cute, but it can be distracting. We still made it to class on time, so all is well. That goes without saying, but treat the handler with respect. And let the handler know if a service dog is approaching you. Earlier, Marianne talked about human guide. It's a little bit different when someone has a guide dog. It can go one of two ways. Either you'll do the traditional human guide with the elbow and the person will grab onto your elbow. And in the case, it's important to keep in mind the dog is actually not working. The handler will drop the handle, the dog will be on leash, and the expectation of the dog is that it's kind of like your pet dog, just kind of walking beside you. So do everything that you would normally do in a situation with human guide. Tell them that you're approaching stairs and you're turning right and left. Indicate the guide dog is not working. There is a second approach where the guide dog is working. Guide dog can follow a person, so you use the follow command and it'll follow the person. And in that case, the dog is still working and doing everything it should while following the person. In this particular intent, I'm going to follow Karen's lead and avoid the don'ts, but they're there if you want to read them.
I'll go to the next slide.
Next slide, yes. So we're going to talk about accessibility technology and what it is. It's product and devices that help enhance a person's ability to access computers and phones and enhance their ability to access education and work and tasks of daily living, right? So when I need to pick out my outfit for the weekend or for work, I'll use a AI application that will kind of describe my clothing, and that enhances my life. If you ever played with dark mode, I know my partner who's typically able-bodied, she'll use dark mode on her phone. That technically in a set of technology, but one that people have adopted and everyone uses. So it's not a that binary of a thing to think about. But I'll give you some examples that are very specific to the blind and visually impaired community. So we're going to move to the next slide. So this is the common type of assistive technology for people who are blind and visually impaired. Screen magnifiers, the ability to kind of zoom in and out. Someone who's low vision might need to modify their settings on their computer. I mentioned dark mode. They might have reduced the brightness. They might have invert the colors. There's a number of different things they can do to kind of make it easier to access their computer or cell phone and be productive and do all the things that they need to. Another kind of a technology, we demonstrate the screen reader. Screen readers, what they do is they read aloud everything on your computer or cell phone, and you're able to navigate the screen. If you're using a computer, you're going to use your shortcut keys on your computer to kind of navigate around. I actually don't use a mouse. And so that's how I access the computer. On your cell phone, you're going to use App Injector to navigate around your cell phone. I actually have the same cell phone as you guys, an iPhone. What I do is I change the settings around and a program called VoiceOver starts running, and I'm able to access a cell phone. I could actually probably pick up your phone and start using it with just a few changes of the settings. And then the last type of common assistive technology, a braille display or note taker. So that works in tandem with a built-in screen reader. And what it does, it pop everything up in braille that's being displayed on the computer or your cell phone. Or you can use a standalone note taker where you're typing in your notes and saving them in an electronic braille format. The way it works is, as you guys know, Braille is a sit dot system, and dot are raised depending on the letter. So the letter A, it's just dot one. It's just one little dot. And you can read the dots in a row, the cells in a row to figure out what's being conveyed. And so what Braille display does is it's a mechanical keyboard where the raised dots are actually pushed up by pins, and you can read it, the Braille. The pins will pop up in different orders depending on what it is that you're reading. So the next slide, I'm going to actually show you how a screen reader works. Just give me a minute. I'm going to share my screen so you can hear what I'm hearing.
Let me stop sharing my screen then.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, 1 second. And you should be able to share your screen now.
Screen sharing meeting controls window.
All right.
Slideshow. Slide 10. Listen to a screen reader / braille.
Can you guys hear that?
10.
Yes.
Listen to a screen reader / braille
Yes.
display. Participants can now see your application alert.
Can anyone understand it?
No.
I bet Nick Corbett in the crowd probably could. But the rest of you, yeah, one of the things you'll find the longer people use screen readers, I can actually slow down the rate and you'll probably understand it. But for those of us who use screen readers all the time, we're able to understand it at a much faster rate than most people. And so what sounds like gibber to you actually makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm able to read the PowerPoint slide that I'm following along with Malcolm, and I have my own slide deck open. And with that, I'll hand it to Karen.
You have started screen.
I'm going to stop sharing your screen and I'm going to just go back to our screen.
Perfect.
I don't know, Maxim, if you can play the links from. Do I need to share my screen for the next slide?
Let me see. Take a look.
If you can, let me just say, these are a couple of demonstrations of assistive technology. The first one is a student here at Perkins who gave me permission to share this today with all of you. And I think he would love to show everyone himself using his technologies. Do you want me to share my screen, Maxim?
Yeah, do you have it set up already?
I can do that. Sorry to be sliding through all these. So this is him doing something using one of the accessibility settings on his phone. And the interesting thing about this, today we were celebrating, all year long, we're going to be celebrating the 200-year anniversary of Braille. And we had a little celebration this morning. So Louis Braille's tactile writing system is 200 years old. It was developed in 1824. And I think any of the students, anyone who uses Braille can say how important it is in terms of literacy and getting a job. Like learning Braille, knowing Braille makes a huge difference for folks who are blind. So this is Declan showing you what he does with his smartphone.
A blind person accesses their phone, well, this is how I do it. To navigate to the next item, I swipe my finger to the right. To navigate to the previous item, I swipe my finger to the left. To get into something, I double tap to open so it has a chance to read it to me, and then I double tap to get into it. When I type on my phone, I often use something called Braille Screen Input. That has me double tap on both sides of the screen, and then the Braille display comes up. To type my name, Declan, I would go D-E-C-L-A-N. And that's how I often type. When I X out of that, it translates to print. Ever wonder how a blind person accesses their phone? Well,
okay. So that was Declan showing you. And the cool thing is that you could all access that if you have a smartphone. And I think there's so much that people can do with that device that you wouldn't even know about. So Brian kind of referenced it, that he could grab your phone and probably use it just by making a few adjustments to the settings. The next example is, we talk about low-tech and high-tech solutions. So this is a pretty low-tech solution. It's a bill reader. So in case you didn't know, the United States is the only country that prints all of the denominations of currency on the same size. So that is a real barrier for people figuring out what denomination a bill is. They're always relying on somebody with vision, or recently there's been a lot of apps developed, so that's not the case anymore. But for a long time, relying on someone with vision to tell them what denomination a bill is. So this is an example of a device that was developed to help folks read bills.
That face people who are blind is how to identify your money. And the library has a device called a talking currency reader. It's a small little device that runs on a AAA battery. It will identify your currency. So let me show you how it works. You slide the bill in under the little metal tab, and then on either side there are buttons. And I push one of those buttons, and it says the denomination. So that was a $5 bill. I will show you how it does with a different denomination. Most blind people fold their money, but you still have to rely on someone to tell you what it is. So this device allows you to be independent. But it will also identify it with beeps if you want to hear several beeps instead of saying 20, or it has a vibrate mode for people who are deafblind. One of the problems that face people who are blind is how to identify.
Now let me share back the screen.
Okay, so that was 2 short clips demonstrating sort of high-tech and low-tech solutions. And Kim referenced the folding strategy, which is very low-tech. So that's a way for someone to keep track once they know what the denomination is. The folding system, a $1 bill is not folded, a $5 bill is folded lengthwise, a $10 bill is folded widthwise, and a $20 bill is folded length and widthwise. So the folding system makes it possible for folks to keep track of what they have in their wallets. And actually, interestingly, I think it was maybe NFB, I think there was a lawsuit and they won to like have the denominations in the country change, so everything's not the same size. So they won it, but I think operationally it's very difficult to execute the change. So these are some of the solutions that have been developed to help folks be more independent and also not always feeling like they're relying on the honesty of folks with vision to share with them what they're holding in their hand. And now the next slide is a poll. So these are some questions that we're grateful for. Carroll and the team at MCB has developed these questions. So just thought we would give you something to think about. You notice someone using a white cane standing independently on the curb at a busy intersection. What should you do? And there are 4 choices. And the first one is say, "Hi, my name is Karen. Let me take your arm and I'll help you across the intersection." The second choice is take the individual's arm and guide them across the intersection. The third one is say, "Hi, my name is Karen. Would you like any help across the intersection?" And then the last one is do nothing, because people with visual impairment are fully capable. They will ask for help if they need it. So what are you reading these selections? Which do you think is the best option? I see C's. Ding, 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 ding. Exactly. Yeah. I think the one that I'm sort of drawn by is the D, because it's like the tendency to say, oh no, somebody wouldn't need any help at all. That would probably be my inclination, to just leave the person alone and not make them feel like not come in heavy-handed. But again, just reaching out and saying, do you need any help? And being comfortable if somebody says no. And now I'll pass it over to Carroll.
All right. Hello again. All right. We have a couple more polls. And again, just put your answers right in the chat. And by the way, there will be a little bit of time at the end if you have questions. So please feel free. All right. So you are a dog lover, as am I. You see a guide dog sitting quietly next to its owner's side. What should you do? A, approach the dog, offer it a treat, and give it a scratch on the head for being such a good boy. B, say, "Hi, my name is Carol. May I please, please, please pet your dog?" Or maybe just say one, please. C, quietly wave, smile, and make affectionate noises towards the dog to demonstrate your fondness. Or D, nothing. You should never engage with a dog. Excellent. I see a lot of D's coming through. That is correct. You really shouldn't engage with a dog. In some cases, you might be able to ask. I know that there are some guide dog users who would be fine if you ask them, but quite frankly, some people don't even want to be asked. So it really depends on the individual. If you're unsure, don't even engage with the dog. Good job, everyone. And then next slide, please. All right. Poll number 3. Jen, your new teammate is blind. You are unsure of how she can perform tasks and complete projects with the same level of skill and productivity as the rest of the team. What do you do? A, ask my manager how Jen is able to get her job done and if there are any tasks we should avoid giving her. B, say, hi, Jen, my name is Carol. I'm looking forward to working with you and getting to know you. C, discuss my concerns with my teammates to see what they know. Or D, nothing, wait and see. You guys are paying attention. Excellent. Yes, B is absolutely the correct answer. You wouldn't be going up to people asking about their personal business on a normal day. I wouldn't think. You would just say, you know, I want to get to know you. If that person then feels like they want to share, wonderful, then they can share. If they don't, that's fine. It's their business. Very good. Next slide, please. All right, so these are the most common types of services that we provide at MCB. And as Marianne indicated in the beginning, we serve people who are legally blind, but we also serve those who are, you know, blind and legally blind. We also serve people who are low vision, who have a condition that is leading to legal blindness. So what we provide, and this is both through training that we would either directly train ourselves with our staff, or we would fund the training through another organization such as the Carroll Center, Perkins, and others. Whether they're just learning these things or they're on site to work or to do an internship. And I'll go over these in just a moment, but if someone's going to get an internship or a job with an employer, we would provide these services at the site, at the employer's site, so that these individuals would be successful on the job or internship. So orientation and mobility services, where they would learn how to use a cane. We may refer them to a guide dog school and fund it so that they can learn to use a guide dog. Not everyone has a guide dog, as you know, and not everyone uses a cane. That's probably the biggest amount of people use canes, but not everyone uses a cane. And then travel training services so that they learn how to get from point A to point B. What is the best way? What is the best entrance in the building? If someone gets a job or an internship, or even in school, we would have our orientation and mobility specialists go onto their work site or their school, show them where the emergency exits are, the cafeteria and dining area, if there are any. Emergency exits are very important. Supervisor's office, maybe restaurants up and down the street, shopping, whatever might be in the general area, so that they learn to navigate that work site safely. Of course, our team would also work with individuals around their home. If they move and they're in a new location, now they want to learn their new neighborhood, we can have orientation and mobility instructors teach that as well. There's also rehab teaching. So orientation and mobility, let me just back up for 1 second. They are master's degree level certified individuals who are trained to teach people how to navigate space non-visually. That's the best way to think of it. So it's very specialized. Rehab teaching, labeling items. We may have a rehab teacher go in and put stickers, tactile stickers on a microwave oven in the break room, for example. So there might be one in the middle so that the person who's using it knows what's all around it once they can identify that. Maybe in elevators, if they're not labeled. They would help to instruct tasks non-visually. So there may be something that we can do with our vision and that person's qualified to do. They just need to learn how to do it non-visually at that particular organization. So So our rehab teachers can show them how to do that. I guess a good quick example, I know we're running short on time here, so I'll make this quick. If you think about a tray, so someone maybe is working in food service, so they might learn to cut the vegetables on a tray that has the lip around it. So if they drop a piece of, maybe they have two trays, one for vegetables and one for meat. So if they drop the meat, it's going to land on the tray rather than them feeling around the table for it. And it's not going to cross-contaminate with the vegetables, if that makes sense. So, you know, that's just one very basic example of rehab teaching. So there's a tray on the left for the meat, there's a tray on the right for the vegetables. And if they're cutting, they can, you know, turn their bodies to take care of that. Also, assistive technology, I'm not going to go into details because you've already heard a lot about that, but we would provide the technology at the workplace, whether it's an internship, whether it is a job, we would provide the technology that the person needs. We would work closely with the hiring manager or the direct supervisor and their technology department to put the technology in place so that the individual is successful. We do an assessment when a person gets a job or an internship to find out what their needs are, first of all, specific to their role, and then we would deploy the team to come in. So once all these items are in place, it can take a little bit of time in the beginning, but once all of these items are in place, you're probably going to have, if they're a good worker, you're going to have a long-term employee. You know, as was mentioned earlier in the presentation, it takes a long time often for someone to get that very first work experience, which is why the internship opportunities that all three of our organizations provide are so very important. But once they get a job, if they're treated right, they're going to be loyal. You're going to have really good long-term employees. So it's great opportunities. And that is, I believe, our last slide. So all of our contact information is here. Please let us know if you have any questions. We'll answer any questions for you now. But one thing that we want to emphasize is you've heard a lot of information. There's 3 different organizations represented. It can be very confusing as to who does what, who do you go to for what. We are all kind of attached at the hip. We're almost like one organization with 3 arms, if you will. So if you're not sure, reach out to any one of us and we will help direct you to the right person for whatever the situation is. Thank you all so much. So happy to take any questions.
Yes, and thank you, all of you, for listening and learning, and thanks to the panelists, Brian Switzer, Carroll Cullins, and Karen McCormack, and echoing what Carroll said, that we all really work closely and can have, you know, if you get in touch with us and maybe we don't have the answer, we'll guide you to the other person. One thing about the Carroll Center, it's a lot of what Carroll was saying happens out in the workforce. We're kind of doing the training piece. So once they go to us, and their MCB will send them to us for a little bit more in-house training, then they're ready to work as well. But we all help each other out. We help you guys as employers. And I think that's what the chamber is all about, that we're all collaborating. And I think that's why I really wanted to bring Brian, Carroll, Karen, and myself together to just let you know we're like the chamber. We all want to collaborate, network, and make it work for our communities. So thanks again. And I think we have some questions or a new message. Let me see. Okay. So Joanne Sweeney was saying this was great. We work with young children who are blind or have visual impairments here at early intervention, but have less experience with adults in the workplace. So that's great, Joanne, that you're starting so young with early intervention. And it may be that, you know, maybe something Karen's doing, because she's kind of more of a school model. But anything that we're doing that, as you said, you don't have as much experience with adults in the workplace. It could even be like a career day. Maybe we could come in and the kids could be thinking about careers, and I don't know how young they go, but we'd be happy to help out in any way we can. You know, sometimes it's experiential, like and maybe I'm sure they could teach us things too, because young kids have a lot to share. So, birth to 3. So a bit young, but you know, there's always, I know, Karen, how young do you guys go with your?
Yeah, we have early intervention here.
Yeah.
So it's birth to young adulthood. But I do think that birth to 3 is a little young to start having conversations about
Yes.
career exploration.
Yes.
But I will say that there's definitely a benefit to mentors for youth with visual impairment. There's nothing like talking. Even for here at Perkins, we often have the students from the secondary program who are at the high school level talk with students in the lower school. And sometimes they just talk about, you know, what they thought they were going to like at a job and how much they ended up hating it, or some of the things that they encountered or what they love. So it's great to watch those conversations happen with each other.
Yeah.
But that's another thing that employers can offer. Even just talking about your own work journey, whether or not you are visually impaired, is helpful for students to hear about. Just that's a way for them to get information. A lot of the information we get about the world of work, we actually just get by looking around, going to the supermarket, going to the bank, you know, driving by, seeing the fire trucks drive by or anything. We get so much information visually that students with visual impairment, it all has to be directly shared. So it's a little more cumbersome. That's why those sessions that you may have where you're just information sharing are super important. So that is a way that employers can participate, that maybe is a little less involved than hosting for an internship or a work experience. Just something to think about.
And at MCB, we are a womb to tomb agency, we say, so from birth till death. In order to engage with our services, the individuals have to be legal residents of Massachusetts, whereas Perkins and the Carroll Center serve, you know, well beyond the state. They have to be referred to us by their eye care professional. So they can't just come in and say, you know, I want to register because I'm legally blind. I mean, they can tell us that, but we need to get the order from their eye care professional and their eye report and all of that. And then by law, then at that point, we can serve them. We do have a mentor program where we have individuals from ages 14 through 30 who are, so it's a pretty unique range because it's some kids are in high school and then we've got college age or some who just, you know, maybe aren't going to college. And then there may be some young adults looking for employment opportunities, and we'll match them up with mentors who are working professionals who are legally blind. So they have to be registered with us to be a mentee, but to be a mentor, they can be from anywhere in the country. And then if anyone is, employers are looking to engage with us in some way, sometimes we will have, we love to have opportunities for our job seekers and our interns to practice their interviewing skills with someone other than us. After a while, I think we sound like their moms and dads and they don't want to listen. So it's helpful to hear, for them to hear from employers, you know, to go through maybe a mock interview or even just an informational interview, just to kind of talk about the world of work and know that, you know, a lot of the information that we're telling them is real. And this is a real employer who said this. And, you know, anything like that would be fantastic as well.
And at the Carroll Center, we're working with, well, our tagline is all ages and stages of vision loss. So we work with the very young and help in school districts and getting people at ages that, you know, that they're needing to just do developmental learning too. So Joanne, it looks like you also said that you try to get families connected very early to the Mass Commission for the Blind, which sounds like will be very helpful for transition to adulthood. Yeah, and that's a big piece, that transition, you know, from those, you know, the 14, or you can never start too young. And we also do that here at the Carroll Center, and I know with Karen has a transition group. Are there other questions that people may have? I know we threw a lot of information at you, and some of you on the phone, like I said, I know and I've worked with, and other of you might, you might have further questions that, at another date, we could, kind of delve into more of how do you get connected with us. I mean, now you have our name and numbers, but if you could kind of just give us a call, give us an email and say, I found this interesting what you said. Do you think you could come to my workplace and explain this a little bit more to me? Or could the four of you come to my place? Or if you want to come to the Carroll Center and see our training, how we work with our students on campus, or any of that is open to you. So just wanted to let you know.
I should
Um,
also put in
Go
a
ahead,
very
Carol.
quick plug for our internship program, because we're in the process of meeting and vetting potential interns right now. So if any of you think you may have projects that you need help with over the summer, our requirements are 120 hours, so it's not a heavy lift. It can be more. I mean, they can work way more than that, but the minimum is 120 hours, however that's set up. And we provide the interns with a stipend, and I'd be happy to talk with any of you a little bit more about how that works. Interns are anywhere from, just graduating from high school till there's no upper end. So
Yeah.
most of them are in college, but we've got interns who are just either, career changers or maybe lost their vision at 40 years old and now need a new, went through rehab teaching and they've learned or vision rehab, and now they're trying to develop a new work path, or just high school kids who don't, who graduated from high school and aren't going to college. So the range is huge. They
Yeah.
could be looking at a convenience store or looking at, software development. So I'm happy to talk with anyone.
And maybe I know we're running short on time, and that might be good. Carol and I do the kind of same thing in the summer for interns, so it might be that the two of us could meet with you, and we have a variety of different students, but we are coming toward, I know we want to end right on time. David, should I put it over to you?
Just a quick final thought, everybody. Kind of a dual plug, and I'm Dave Sellers. I run the Boys and Girls Club of Newton, but Marianne and I met through this group, and we did host a long-term volunteer through Carroll Center. And I can just tell you, as the director of a nonprofit, it brought a great energy into my building, and my kids were really inspired learning from this person and seeing their journey, and it brought a lot to my program. So I would highly recommend this for-profit, nonprofit. It's something that's going to make your organization stronger and better. So thank you.
You know what was funny? What was funny, David? The one individual that came in for the interview, you guys were wearing the same suit. You had the same shirt on, the same pattern, the same pants. It was just so funny. It's like, wow.
Good stuff, everybody. Thank you all.
Thanks so much.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, Max.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a
everybody.
great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.